Fragments of silicon. Definitely better than just shards of glass.
You're right, that wasn't much to go on. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm having an off day.
I'm sure you will hear all about it. Anyway, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. We're back on format this week. Um, and with that in mind, let's get to the news. Galax, I guess since you stepped up with that, you can go first.
It's nothing serious. It's just I'm getting a little bit of a seasonal lethargy and stuff, and I'm currently in a week between two big weekend things that keep me from relaxing properly on the weekend. Last Sunday was a big party for my grandfather's girlfriend's 75th birthday, and then this coming Saturday is my grandmother's 90th birthday party, so those both involve traveling to Massachusetts, which is a few hours, and getting up early, and just sort of generally not very tiring, not very restful.
Duly noted.
That said, I've been working on the games for this week. I haven't actually been playing that much other than that. I've been taking a little bit of a break from Dead Cells. I got to the Wily Castle in Mega Man 11, and the stupid Yellow Devil is a pain in the butt.
Welcome to the Yellow Devil.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a devil. Like,
Ironically, perhaps the thing I have the most trouble with is the traditional devil pattern. I can actually dodge the turn into a bunch of tiny guys and run around like a maniac pretty easily, but it's just there's a really narrow time in which you can actually damage him, and
once again, that's the Yellow Devil. At
yeah,
least
I know.
Mega Man 1 version Yellow Devil. Mega Man 3 was really toned down.
Uh-huh.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is more like the first one, I think. But yeah, that's about what I've been up to.
All right. Petty, you're up.
Well, I'm gonna be having that MRI on my knee Monday, so that's gonna be fun. What, Adam?
Yeah, that's been a long time coming.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to have that done this week.
Yeah, and then somebody dropped the ball in somebody's office.
Familiar refrain when it comes to your knee.
Mm-hmm. Also, a quick, I guess, PSA for everybody who didn't look in the Discord. There'd been a exploit on the PS4 where somebody could basically send you a message with a bunch of foreign characters and it could brick your console. Sony has since patched that. Just make sure you update your consoles and you should be fine. So that's something important. And then, something that happened last week we didn't get a chance to talk to. Somebody broke into my mom's car.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just smashed her window and took her GPS and her work bags in the back seat. Luckily, there wasn't anything of too much value in there. Like, the window they broke probably cost more than the stuff they stole, but it's still... Now she's super paranoid. Like, we had snow this week, and instead of parking her car up front, like, would be kind of reasonable, seeing we live on a steep hill, she decided to leave it down back, and we had trouble getting it back up the hill for us to go do errands. So that's probably going to be a fun winter for us if this keeps up. And as far as gaming news, I've been kind of working on Kingdom Hearts just because ideally I'd like to finish Kingdom Hearts 1 2 and maybe Birth by Sleep before 3 comes out.
Apparently, there's some kind of I mean, if you already have them, it's no help. But apparently on Amazon, there's some kind of special deal where you can get like pretty much everything so far for like the PlayStation 4 for.
You get 1.5, 2.5, and like 2.8 or whatever. The one that has the fragmentary passage all together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I already have them, so it's like Twilight. I guess if you want to play Kingdom Hearts, there's your in.
I played the original first 2, but yeah, I might get it.
I think that one's only on PS4 though, so
yeah.
I guess rip Xbox players. And aside from that, I think I'm good this week.
Twilight.
Well then, let's see how. Last weekend, well, the weekend before last, actually, me and my mother went to the Apple Festival. That's one of the fall festivals that we have here annually, and it was a fun time. It was a nice warm day, though I guess due to the economy, they didn't didn't have quite as much there as usual. Yes, no. Then last weekend, we didn't go to the festival that's in town, the Jeannie Wiley Festival. Instead, we had a family pictures taken to up there as an update, since we hadn't had any taken in the past few years. And let's see, there was something else. Don't remember what it was. Anyway, somebody dropped off another stray cat on us. It's a little.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a little kitten that's probably about a few months old, and surprisingly, Boots has taken quite a liking to it, actually, which is unusual since most of the past few cats we've had, we usually fight off the new one. But no, these two haven't actually been playing together, which is nice. Where you haven't quite decided what to do with the little guy quite yet, but and they'll come in time. In gaming news, I really haven't done much in terms of gaming. I've been taking a look at some of my backlog, and haven't really stuck with anything quite yet. Been meaning to play The Last of Us Remastered, but haven't gone around to that either. Yeah, I'll see what I'll do. That's about it.
All right. I guess it's my go.
Yep.
Let's see. Now, well, it's kind of feeling like fall here, in that the nights have been cool, but it still gets up to 90 degrees during the daytime.
Because Florida.
Like, it'll probably start getting cold-ish during the day, within the next few weeks, by next month. Still north enough where that happens. It's just, because mid-Florida, it still gets hot during the day. It's like living in the desert during this time period. It's hot during the day, but at night, well, it's not cold, but it's, much more comfortable than it was during the summer. Let's just say. When there isn't humidity out there. That's a year-round thing. Let's see. Another news. Let's see. I think Mac has some updates with his MSP stuff, but he's still MIA because he's too busy being an Uber driver right now. Let's see, and in a very special announcement, a few days ago, we celebrated, well, in the technical sense of the word, the 5th-year anniversary of Fragments of Silicon. Yes, on October 13th, 2013, if I'm recalling correctly. I might be a bit fuzzy on the date, but it was around this very time. That's the important part. No, this show launched its first standalone episode, which you can no longer get because, if you recall, the cloud storage solution we had wasn't actually a cloud storage solution. And we didn't find that out until 8 months later. It's like, any rescued episodes aside, the first publicly available episode right now is, I think, season 3, episode 5. Now that's still up on TalkShoe. And yeah, it's been a very transformative journey since, if you listen to season 1, outside of the basic format, which hasn't really changed, like, news, interview, topic of discussion, that stayed about the same, just because we can there's not really a lot we can do in terms of adjustment to the basic format of the main shows. Maybe doing different types of supplemental shows, like the multiplayer stuff and the reviews. But yeah, it's like, when this thing started out, completely different cast, completely different format. We didn't even really have recorded theme music. That was done live, when Keith could be arsed to do it. And like, emphasis on, when he could be arsed. Because there were times when, he was either not in the mood, usually because of altered substance, let's say. But, or he just didn't care. Like, yeah. And yeah, anyway, 5 years later, here we are. We've got video. We've got a lot more programming than we did even a season ago, since we added the Final Fantasy XIV programming.
Well, hell, like 3 seasons ago, we didn't even have European interviews, did we?
European interviews have been around since like 2015. It's like, European interviews was a thing that started up shortly after Naka left. Like, Naka, it's like Naka's schedule was kind of clashing with what I wanted to do with the show. It's one of the reasons why he left. It's like, really couldn't do the Tuesday morning things since he kind of worked during that time. But, it's like, there were other reasons, make no mistake. And, yeah, people have come, people have gone. I'm like, will we add more people? Oh, not sure. Like, really, we're not sure on the final status of Ogre right now. Like, it's like, even he, like, if you recall from his, I hesitate to say retirement because he was like, he's done for now. So, his inactive period, like, he may be back for E3 2019. He may be back springtime next year. I don't know. Like, he doesn't know. Like, until he's shows up again, he's not a part of the main show. I think he's still doing the Final Fantasy XIV stuff. Anyway,
that's a little harder for him to get out of since he's part of the guild.
Right. I think Naka is a part of that as well.
Like, he's not been in part of our actual raid team though, because job.
Right. I honestly don't keep up with goings on with the Final Fantasy XIV stuff. The less I know, the better. It's like it's been there have been some rocky transitions. We've been over the difficulties from switching over to Twitch, and there's always the ever-present trying to attract the audience. And that's not to say we don't have an audience. It's just, reaching out to new people is always a challenge.
Yeah, basically we're at the point where
Mm-hmm.
we need to start pumping in money that we don't have.
Not necessarily.
Is it too much to ask for us to get the first solid Ruby Twitch button? I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case. But if you really wanted to go that route, there's also chasing the logarithm. It's like, how much do we really want to play Fortnite is the question there.
The answer
At least
is no.
until Fortnite stops being the hottest thing, then we'd have to play something else.
Well, that's kind of how it works with the chasing of the logarithm. Like, you play the ultra popular shit when it's ultra popular. Then you move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. It's also, in terms of streaming, we don't stream a lot. Oh, it seems like we stream a lot, but okay, here's the average stream time of the big streamers: about 8 to 12 hours a day. Not even joking about that.
Yeah, we get to like maybe 12 hours a week.
Yeah, that's why we're one of the smaller channels, in all honesty. It's like, but, we soldier on. It's like, will we be around in another 5 years? Probably. Like, I mean, if you asked me if I was going to be doing this, say, in 2009, I wouldn't, it's like, I wouldn't have said yes, but, here we are. So, maybe we don't. It's just, our current plans are, to continue doing this program. And with that retrospective out of the way, merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. And joining us once again is Chris Lavina of Tinybuild.
Hey guys, what's up?
Not too much. How are you doing?
Chilling. Just here at the office.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing to plan TwitchCon, all that jazz.
So, sounds fun. Anyway, so we've got quite a bit to cover today. Let's see. I think first we should do some updates, like Rapture Rejects.
Yeah.
What's going on with this game currently?
So right now, it is. I don't remember what I said last time, but right now it is in early alpha.
Mm-hmm.
You can purchase the game through our website, as well as on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So through that, you will go through the Tinybuild launcher, which we're trying that out right now, and then you can play every weekend. It is open to people to play the game, and you can even buy it, and it's $20.
Now, is that going to be like an early access price, or is that going to be even when it gets to release dates?
So at this point, I don't know, but right now, that is the price to, play in the early alpha. You will get constant updates. You will be invited back to, exclusive events. Like right now, every single weekend, you can win cosmetic items. I think one of the weekend was like a crazy like narwhal unicorn horn with like a rainbow shirt. And I see people like with that item just like joust each other in like lobbies. It's pretty dope.
Sounds like it. I know some people on the staff are looking forward to this because they're big fans of the webcomic.
Yeah, Cyanide Happiness is cool and has a cool art style, so.
Right. And looking forward to playing it somewhere down the line. Anyway, let's see. Moving forward, let's see. Secret Neighbor, how's that faring along?
So Secret Neighbor is actually going pretty well. The team that's behind it is doing a fantastic job, just just implementing features and getting that core gameplay down of, you know, geez, I'm trying to think of the word right now, but they're getting the core gameplay down of, you know, trying to unlock the door and scavenge for the keys, and one player, you know, of werewolf. There we go. You know, where one player is the neighbor, and you know, right now there is like a Halloween update where there's a bunch of pumpkins everywhere, and you can become a pumpkin, and you know,
Because what kind
it's
of
a
even
whole
slightly scary game is without a Halloween update?
exactly. I mean, so it's going places. I mean, right now it's kind of funny because if I would want to like get on one of the play tests, I would be probably the only English speaker there because a lot of them, you know, everyone that's testing it is speaking in Russian. So so that's a little scarier in my opinion.
Maybe they're secretly plotting against us.
Maybe.
They'll take us over through battle royale games
I'm like,
once that gets to be the standard for international conflict.
Yep.
possibly.
Emphasis on games.
I'm like, um, anyway, let's see. Party Hard 2.
So Party Hard 2 is actually slated for a release next week, I think on the 25th.
Wow.
So it will be launching the day before TwitchCon, and if you are going to be at TwitchCon, I will actually have, you know, the game playable on 6 booths. I mean, 6 playable areas inside my booth. So yeah, if you're going to be there, come on down. You know, I'll have like a lounge area. You can come and talk with me personally about like everything we're talking about like today probably. But yeah, no, that's going great. I just played the newest build today, and you know, it's I love the game. I love, you know, like I just realized that, you know, it has like a crafting, you know, aspect to it where like you can pick up a bottle of booze and you can pick up, you know, a jerry can of gasoline. And I just noticed that you can combine that to just make Molotovs. So one level, I literally just walked around just throwing Molotovs at people, just combining them because there's a bunch of loose bottles everywhere.
Sounds very, how do I put this? Dead Rising.
Yes.
Now, it's like, brings up a lot of memories of that game.
Yeah, I love that game. Dead Rising 2, I think it was, that introduced that's the first one that introduced the combining weapons mechanic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was also the Alone in the Dark remake, but
but that was a flop, wasn't it?
that also wasn't. That was almost good. Let's just say.
Okay.
Yeah.
The worst type of game.
Yeah. More on that next week. Yeah, we're talking about Alone in the Dark for Halloween.
Ah,
Anyway, yeah, Party Hard 2 looks pretty interesting. Like,
I love it.
yeah, I mean, maybe we could review it for the show.
The new aesthetic is gorgeous. I love like the isometric everything to it.
Yeah. Like, is it, now this is multiplayer, right?
So Party Hard 2, I'm pretty sure you can play co-op. Actually, let me just make sure about that. I can probably just launch it right now.
Well, it says on the Steam page it's local co-op.
Yes, then yes, you can play co-op.
Oh. Anyway, yeah, so that looks pretty good for Halloween.
I mean, I love it. It's a fun game.
Let's see. Pathologic 2.
So Pathologic 2, I actually haven't seen that much out of it since the PAX build. But the PAX build kind of like took all my previous, you know, statements of how it plays, which you know, it's a slow game that you're trying to find out like who murdered your dad. And you know, before, like, I kind of didn't know where I was going and stuff like that, but no, like a lot of this is just, you know, they've added like a lot of like facial animations and, you know, people talking to you, and it's getting to a point where like the story is now like really inviting me, and you know, I want to know what's going on, and I want to know like to do all this and like all the weird stuff that is going on, like the weird creatures that are there, and you know how like why the water is poisoned. Like I want to know more about this.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so it's probably prompt for us to move on to the new stuff because, well, once again, there were 5 games announced at PAX West. Starting with Hellpoint.
Yes, Hellpoint.
Petty, do we have the trailer queued up?
Yep.
All right. Just keep in mind that these trailers are all fairly long, at least 2 to 4 minutes. So,
and some of them are a bit graphic, so younger kids avert your eyes for a little bit.
So, you have been warned. All right. Those Inception drops. Like, anyway, so yeah, Hellpoint. This is an action RPG where it's post-apocalyptic. According to the press materials, you play as a ghoulish character whose intentions are internally determined by the player's decisions. And Chris, can you elaborate on that? This whole your choices matter system.
So, your choices matter in the sense that throughout how you play the game, the ending will change. I actually don't know that much about that specific thing because I've only been play testing this specific game with the levels, with the weapons, the boss fights. So I don't know the overarching story behind it. Like that's been actually kind of hidden from me. I mean, I'm actually kind of glad that they're doing that, but I'm playing like bits and pieces. So the main developer, like right now, we are in like a very big testing phase with it, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, past that, I've faced a couple of bosses. It plays really well. It is a Souls-like, and it's intense.
Right. How hard are we talking about here?
I mean, so I've played and beat Dark Souls, Neo, Bloodborne, various Souls-like games, Lords of the Fallen, and this one, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like Dark Souls, like #1 Demon Souls hard, but it is a hard game like Dark Souls 2. I say Dark Souls 2 because that one was intentionally hard, but it held your hand at times.
Now, what are we still dealing with the little bit slow? You have to think carefully and predict things, and like you can tell what you messed up, but if you mess up, you'll be punished really hardly difficulty, or is it any kind of faster or
it's a little bit faster than that. Like a lot of the characters, they do have several move sets. You can go in and wait them out and do the typical like I'm just gonna stonewall this dude, and then like once I see that his move set is done, then I'll attack. But there are enemies that that have like extreme broad swings that will like go around you and hit you from the back. So you have to be a little bit more agile in that. I mean, it's faster paced. It includes like you can jump in the game, which that's like something you can't do in a lot of Souls games. So that can actually be used to your advantage. But it's I wouldn't say it's like brutally punishing. But if you mess up, you'll know, okay, I understand it's because I didn't dodge here. I got cornered in a corner, like stuff like that.
And can you create your own character, or is this do you have a fixed character, so to speak?
No, it's so you will be able to like create your own character in the sense that you will, you can stat build and build certain builds out of that.
Okay.
Now, if you're talking about like customize, like how they look, at that point I haven't seen them because I've literally just played this dude walking out of the pool as you saw there. Some clone remnant person that's trying to defeat all these creatures, these ghoul-like enemies on this space station and reclaim it for this ominous being.
What kind of release window are you shooting for for Hellpoint?
So right now at this point, we are going through testing. I'm pretty sure they are going to at some point. I know they're going to release something to their backers for Kickstarter. I don't know when. But I know that was promised in their Kickstarter, so I know they're going to do that. But I would assume late Q2 of 2019, if not Q3.
Right. And given that it is a Souls-like, is there any sort of invasion aspect to it?
So at that point, I don't know about the online play and stuff like that. They haven't hinted at that with me, but there is co-op and stuff like there is co-op. So I would assume that that would be kind of brutal though. Like if you're just playing and all of a sudden some two dudes just jump in, and you got to fight them off.
Well, I mean, that would be
like that would be, yeah.
That would be keeping in with Dark Souls. Like
yeah.
Souls, like
yeah, but that's like that's intense. That would be super griefing.
Right. Right. So moving forward, next up we got the Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. Do we have the trailer queued up here?
Yep. Give me 1 second.
All right. Yeah, Hello Neighbor seems to be your flagship franchise.
I mean, right now it is. Right now, I mean, there's just so much of that story that we can branch off of, that we can add more, that we can, that we can just keep on.
And this is Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, right?
Yes.
All right.
Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. You can play the trailer.
All right.
So for those playing at home, this title is the prequel to the original Hello Neighbor, and that's not to give. And Secret Neighbor, that is an interquel that's taking place between Acts 1 and Act 2 of the original game, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, Hello Neighbor is developing quite the lore.
Meanwhile, Matt Pat's over there foaming at the mouth.
No kidding. Pretty soon we're gonna have to break out the whiteboard with the the connecting string. It's like this title connects here in this way, and so forth. But anyway, Hide and Seek follows the tragic story of the neighbor's family in this dramatic prequel to, well, Hello Neighbor. Experiencing playing a game of hide and seek with your brother as you both deal with the loss of a family member. This game explains events that lead up to the original stealth horror hit Hello Neighbor. Okay? So I suppose the first question is, was there a real demand for a prequel to Hello Neighbor? Or is that...
I mean, because we have the books.
Uh-huh.
We had the first game out, and everyone wanted DLC. So through that, we were like, okay, well, there's a story that we have to tell. Because a lot of people in the first game were wondering, like, all these flashbacks, when the tire flies through the window and all this other type of stuff. And when you, in like the second act, when there's a coffin in the backyard and all this, like the neighbor does have a family and there is a story there. And we just wanted to tell it.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure that people knew why this guy was so weird and why he didn't want you in his house and all this other type of stuff.
Well, I suppose the question that beckons here is, was that all laid out at the time of the creation of the first game, or is that something that's being made, like in the here and now?
So I'm pretty sure that Alex and all the developers behind it, the people at Dynamic Pixels, they had a narrative. And through that, I know Alex probably, as well as us from Tinybuild, we're like, okay, well, how do we make this like a world? Because the first one, it blew up. Like, people loved it. Right. Now from there, how do we continue it? How do we make the story of the neighbor, how do we explain it? So we made the prequel.
Okay. And in terms of gameplay, how is this going to be comparable to the original Hello Neighbor and indeed Secret Neighbor?
Okay, well, in terms of gameplay, I wouldn't, in Secret Neighbor, you're finding the keys to unlock the door. Mm-hmm. In this one, through the various acts of you interacting with your brother, playing, hide and seek and being very like imaginative, you have the world that is your house. Slowly kind of transforming, with all the real life aspects that the neighbor, his wife, you, and the son are going through. So, some of them are that you're in a safari and your brother's chasing you, and you have to find a bunch of toys and put them away and stuff like that, as well as like the second level you're playing cops and robbers. So slowly you're going to be kind of playing out like what you as the kids are seeing and playing out as. And it gets to be like a little dark and just like unnerving.
It sounds like the other titles in this series.
Yeah.
That being said, how far along is hide and seek?
So we are testing it. We're doing all of that. I don't know if we're gonna have like Q4 of 2018 release, but I know that it will come out earlier next year if we can't get it out of the door. Because it says December, but right now I'm hoping for that.
Right, and I'm wondering how the development here is being done in tandem with Hello Neighbor.
Secret Neighbor.
So Secret Neighbor is a completely different team.
Okay.
So Dynamic Pixels, this is the core story of Hello Neighbor. You know, the other one is the multiplayer. I mean, I don't want to like downplay it, but that is the multiplayer version of Hello Neighbor.
Right.
So it's a different team. They, it's in Unity instead of Unreal. Like a lot of the aesthetics, are different. It's not like very cartoony visuals and like it's not as Hello Neighbor-y as hide and seek in the original Hello Neighbor is for Secret Neighbor. Secret Neighbor is it's a core multiplayer game, and it's fun and it's decently fast paced, and there isn't that many like crazy physics puzzles, and yeah.
And well, like, so given that they're separate teams, there's no like influence from one to the other then?
No, I would assume that they are taking like things from each other's development. That if it works here, it should work here. Let's implement that. Let's try. I mean, I've played some things that are that I saw in Secret Neighbor appear in this one, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes this like relatively nicer. It's a nicer experience.
Well, good to know. Good to know. And will Secret Neighbor be out before Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek then?
I don't think so.
Okay. Like, granted, it is kind of hard to hit when you only have like soft release windows.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, moving forward, next up we got Undungeon.
Oh.
Yeah. Once again, while we're getting the trailer set up here, Undungeon is a beautiful and complex action RPG pixel art game with a rich background, immersive story, and 7 unique characters. And recalling, I believe the trailer will elaborate on the press line here.
Yeah. No, the trailer will explain it all. Yeah. I mean, this one's actually one of our more, like, hidden. I don't know that much about it.
Betty, do you have?
Yep. We ready?
Yeah.
Strange, isn't it? From childhood, we have been told that the universe is endless. It was said that there are millions of worlds out there, and that none of them can be reached. They said that they were thousands of light years away from us. But what if this is not the whole truth? What if we live in a multiverse where a thin membrane separates worlds from each other, and this membrane is not as strong as it seems? 7 worlds, 7 variations of Earth were instantly merged. Those few who survived called this cataclysm the Shift. And then you came, the 7 Heralds. Each of you carries the core, which has the power to resolve the current stalemate. I do not know how many times I have repeated these words. Every time one of you fails, I have to start the story again. The core does not allow the Herald to die, definitely. But each time, you have to learn this world anew. One day, one of you will succeed, and then everything will end. I know you do not have time to understand the details, but do not get disconcerted with those outside. They simply do not understand. time has come.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! I'll answer your questions. Please understand, I'm just a technician. I only heard rumors. These things, they started to appear shortly after the shift. It seems that they wander aimlessly. That they rarely attack. They possess technologies which are far beyond the understanding of any of our scientists. Probably some of the eggheads got the idea that we could control the heralds to restrain the shift, or at least leverage a couple of these mysterious cores. You already know that the losses were enormous. Shortly before the incident, I talked to a researcher. It turns out that the heralds are by no means omnipotent. No, they found out that the cores require a vast amount of energy in order to work, and they need to be fed periodically with the surrounding matter. Negotiating with them is impossible. So many victims. They don't accept human logic. Sooner or later, one of them will get to the place, and what will happen then? They're gonna finish off what the shift started.
Right. So to further extrapolate on what the trailer has been saying here, this is a roguelike dungeon crawler that doesn't take place in a dungeon.
No.
Now, I'm thinking that's what the name is referring to. Not exactly sure, but it would make sense to me.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's one of the games that I don't actually have that much information on, other than you do have a set amount of characters that you play, you level them up, and you go through these worlds that you're spawned in to get the items that are talked about in the trailer. Like, I remember I played the PAX build, and it drops you in, and you go around, you kill things, you test out the current repertoire of characters they have, and it's fun. It's a really pretty pixel game, but I don't know that much story behind it. It's something that I'm not, we haven't been given to play, especially on my end. I see a lot of our titles, some of them unannounced, but this one, it's pretty secret.
Do you think that might be intentional, or is that or could that just be because of there's not much story within the game segments?
I mean, right now I wouldn't say that there isn't that much story, but I think it's because right now they're trying to build out the world as a whole, so that there is combining segments, so that you are playing for a decent amount of time. It's not ready to be QA'd. It's not ready to be seen by the public, in alpha or a beta sense. You understand?
Yeah, I do.
There's it's like short demo is what I would put this as.
I see. Well, I suppose a more pertinent question is the art style. So this is using a high contrast, say, not necessarily invoking, but it looks like a Super NES game or something like that. Maybe a PlayStation game. It's a high pixel art game, and there are actually quite a few of these type of dungeon crawlers with the pixel art games floating around now. What do you think this game is doing to stand out from the crowd?
So, I mean, as a pixel art dungeon crawler, I don't think that many have the depth of, a top-down roguelike like this. I mean, because I would assume that there is an overarching story with overlapping abilities, as well as there'll be multiplayer. You can see tech trees and all this other type of things. So I would say it's more like an old school Zelda meets God, trying to find the game. Oh my God, meets like a Torchlight.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like Diablo? No.
Yeah, but Diablo, like right now, like playing 3, that's a little bit different than how 2 and 1 were.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't go to say, because Diablo 2 holds like a crazy standard. I would say that it's trying to get back into that realm of play.
That is interesting. And how well can you speak to like the mechanics, the skill trees, and the different characters?
So I've only played 2 characters, and that's this witch-looking dude, and with like talons, and this gold like pod-looking dude that has like lasers, and he can shoot out. He has a bunch of AoEs, and he can he has discs that fly out of him. So through that you can spec into like long range or like up close attacks. Whereas the witch guy, he's like a glass cannon. So you just run up and you just burn things super duper fast. You just attack them, do high damage, but if you're hit, you're dead. So he has a lot of evasions, and the evasions can go into like swift movements to like unlock different places, and the gold guy can fly, like, yeah.
Hopefully you get to have more playtime.
Oh man, it's one of the games that I'm actually like whenever we announce something that I know about and I don't have like that much like playtime, I really want to play it. Like, I can't wait for the next like teaser they give me and my team to play.
Will this be at TwitchCon?
No, it will not be at TwitchCon. The only title that will be at TwitchCon playable will be Party Heart 2.
Okay. All right. So moving forward, we've got Swag and Sorcery. While that's being set up, this is the ultimate pen and paper RPG simulation experience from the developer of Punch Club and Graveyard Keeper. I got to admit, that doesn't tell me much because I've never played Punch Club or Graveyard Keeper.
All right, so, I'm ready.
All right. All right. I don't know, for whatever reason, of all the games, this reminds me of the Tower. Like, I think it might be the perspective and the building aspect to it. Because while this claims to be a streamlined RPG, you can build your own village. There's a lot of customization. Anyway, Chris, what is the extent to which you have played Swag and Sorcery here?
I love this game. It's by far one of my favorite titles. I can't wait for this game, specifically because I love management idle games, and this combines them perfectly. Like the combat is very idly, but you can heal your characters and cast spells and get them out and do all that other type of stuff. But then, like, once you come out of that, like, all your characters, you can equip them with a bunch of, like, new gear, and you can make new gear, and you can find new gear, and you're fighting people, and you're sending people to be judged by the king, which wants everyone to be super swagged out. I love this game.
Well, you sound pretty excited for it.
Love this game.
Like, so where is the development of Swag here?
Right now, it is being oh my god, not produced. Yeah, no, I think it's so Lazy Bear, which made Punch Club and Graveyard Keeper. It's gorgeous. Punch Club and Graveyard Keeper are really pretty pixel games. With this one, it's it holds no bar. It's beautiful. I love this. Right now, I don't know the crazy development of this. I've only had the packs build, but we are getting stills. And every single time I see a new still, I'm like, oh, yes, please give me more.
All right. Well, hopefully that happens in the near future. Yeah, it's like, let's see. And finally, we've got probably the game I'm most interested in, Pandemic Express. Like, it's got a really interesting look and musical style. While we get that queued up here, welcome to a new kind of first-person shooter where survivors are escaping on the train from hordes of zombies. Okay, I got to admit that description doesn't exactly sound like a new kind of first-person shooter with the zombies and the escape.
Yeah.
No, it's like, but when you see it in motion, you'll see what they're getting at here.
All right.
yeah, this is kind of a unique one. Like,
So it's
there are
hardcore
there are
parkour
a
the
lot of
game.
questions here. Like, I wasn't expecting. I don't know, French mimes. Like that's the closest I got. It kind of looks like Payday meets Synthwave meets. I'm not exactly sure. Some sort of French comic.
But Adam, clearly mimes are the greatest pandemic of the age.
Yep.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. So exactly what is going on here?
So it is an infection game. So one person starts out as the zombie. He kills another person. That person becomes a zombie, and so on and so forth. You have to kill all humans, or the humans have to escape on the train. You run around, scavenge weapons. The weapons have tiers. A lot of the weapons you can actually see here, if they're blue, yellow, or green, those are the tiers. There's a lot of, it's an open map, so you can drive around in the buggies. You collect ink for ammo. I don't actually know a lot about why you collect ink or why they're mimes or
like I said, I have questions about this game.
It is very interesting. It's a game that has shifted its scope a couple of times, and I always come back to it. I always play it, and when they do have their open tests to see what's new, and what's going on and what are they doing with it. And the infection game type is something that fits us really well. I like playing it. Like when you are a zombie, if you kill an enemy, if you kill a human, you actually get the ability to explode. So then you can just go and suicide yourself and kill 3 people. As well as if you are a zombie, you can also like catapult your teammates to higher areas. So there are mechanics there that make this like a rather like quick game. And there are like it is a survival thing on the humans end, and they do have the ability of range weapons and all that other type of stuff, but it gets pretty intense when there's when it's down to like the last 5 people, you're on the train and there's just hordes, just like 20 people just trying to kill you.
That does sound intense. So what kind of player sizes are you going for here?
So right now I have I've like 30 people, I would assume, maybe more. It would be 16 on 16, so 32. Yeah, or 12 on 12. Or just 24 people spawn in, 23 become human, one of them becomes infected, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that sounds pretty standard. Now, another thing I'm wondering is, was that music diegetic?
I have no clue.
Because the trailer made it seem like it. For those who don't know, like diegetic versus non-diegetic. Like diegetic music is the music that's actually there and the characters can hear it. Versus non-diegetic, which is just part of the soundtrack. Like I said, there are a lot of questions about this game, and what's the progress bar on this one?
So right now it is still an alpha. We do have private playtests. You can sign up for the alpha on the website, listed through the trailer. But it is, we're trying to make it a solid experience. We're not rushing this one right now. We're not rushing a lot of the games that were shown at our press conference. Like the only ones that were new would be hide and seek. And that one's, that one we want out the door. Hellpoint also, like that's one that's near going out the door. But Pandemic Express, Swag and Sorcery, Undungeon, these are some that where we're just like, okay, where's this going to go? How are we going to plan for it? Stuff like that.
Right. And something we haven't mentioned, but I believe it has been in like the trailers. But like, what systems are you aiming for all 5 of these games?
So right now, as always, they will probably go to PC. A lot of them will probably launch on Xbox. I mean, I know that we have a great relationship with Xbox, so usually we always try to like simultaneously launch on both. And then from there we'll release on Switch and stuff like that. But no, like there are games that like I would love Swag and Sorcery to be on the Switch. That's a perfect Switch game. On Dungeon 2. Like those two are amazing Switch titles.
Or are they Switch titles, or would they be amazing?
No, they I would assume that we would port them to Switch.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's all clear in case somebody hears, because it's happened in the past. Somebody hears something and it wasn't clear and it becomes an imbroglio. So, like, and yeah, given what I've seen of Undungeon and Swag and Sorcery, those look like games that would work well on the Switch. Like, I think Hellpoint is also going to all platforms.
Yeah, Hellpoint's going to all platforms.
Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. I'm trying to remember. Is this all platforms?
Yeah.
Is this...
I would. Yeah. No. I would. Yeah.
And Pandemic Express.
Right now, it's PC.
Okay, PC only. Makes sense. This is definitely a game that really seems like a PC game in terms of its design and structure.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll see if there are any final questions from my team here.
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, not too much for now. Although a lot of these games look cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing more about them.
Yeah, some of these games have caught my attention. I don't have any questions at the moment, but I'm looking forward to some of them.
And we'll wrap up things by talking about your upcoming appearance at TwitchCon.
Yes. So TwitchCon, appearance. We're gonna be at TwitchCon. We'll be at PAX. We might even do a couple other small events that I will be there. So if you're gonna be at TwitchCon, I would love to talk about our current portfolio, our partner program for streaming, what we do with our influencers, becoming, a Tinybuild best friend, stuff like that. Like, I'm excited for it. We're going to have a pretty decent booth. It's going to be dope. I'm going to like it.
I mean, you seem to like the press events at the conferences.
Yeah.
All right. And that's happening, next week?
Yep. It starts on Friday next week.
Okay, then. All right. So, Chris, once again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with us. It's like we'll probably have you on the program again, either when you have another smattering of games to talk about, or maybe one of these games in greater detail. There's a lot more I want to know about Pandemic Express and Undungeon and what have you that just aren't there right now.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what the future holds. And until then, keep an eye out on the various platforms. These games are coming out variously, sometime in 2018 to 2019. And Petty Fan, play us to the next segment. Finally, we're talking about Animal Crossing.
Not that Animal Crossing has been a super, critical thing for us to talk about, but we've been planning on talking about it for, 3 weeks now, and stuff kept happening.
Yeah, stuff happened again this week, but we've already talked about Crunch. We talk about it regularly. It's bad.
Yep.
Stop doing it. That's my fucking stance on Crunch. That's our fucking stance on Crunch.
Yep.
So, with that in mind, Animal Crossing. Yeah, one of Nintendo's more venerated franchises in recent times.
Which is interesting because it's one of the newest, and also...
It's not that new, though. People gotta
I guess
remember
Pikmin
that.
is newer.
It's like, it's new in comparison to, say, Super Mario Brothers or Zelda. Even Pokemon, it was like a fair amount of years old by the time we got Animal Crossing. But, Animal Crossing is fucking ancient compared to, say, Splatoon or ARMS.
Yeah.
Right.
Even more older in Japan because, and people might not know this, Animal Crossing started out as an N64 game. Guessing
the Animal Crossing that we got in the U.S. was like a enhanced remake of that.
Yes, called Animal Forest Plus.
Because in Japanese it's called Doutsu no Mori, which means forest of animals or animal forest.
And Italy, Animal Crossing has never been my thing. It's never. It was never a franchise that particular held my interest. So my knowledge of the franchise is fairly limited.
On the other hand, I've always been terrified that I would get too invested and then like have crushing depression when I realized that I left my town for too long and that there be overrun with weeds and my homeowner association rating has gone to the tubes and stuff. So
and
I've
people
never
are
actually
dead,
played
and there's a ritualistic sacrifice at the town hall, and yada yada
and all
yada.
my villagers abandoned me. Yeah, so I've never actually played one, but I have followed it reasonably closely because it's a really neat idea, and to paraphrase something I've seen on the internet, it fulfills the greatest millennial fantasies of owning a home, having friends.
That got dark.
I'm really concerned about you. Anyway, so that being said, the original Animal Crossing was probably a game ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm. It's honestly almost the original mobile game if you think about it. Not in the fact that it's mobile, but the play style.
Insert joke about GameCube carrying handle.
Honestly, it reminds me more of PC management games like SimCity and Tropico.
Yeah, same here.
Maybe not that elaborate.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially in the early ones, you didn't really have that much building control.
Yeah. And when the first one came out over here in 2002, there really wasn't anything like Animal Crossing. Especially on consoles. And also, another thing to keep in mind, Animal Crossing is a very universal franchise. It's always been very popular with women. Mm-hmm. It's not hard to see why.
Yeah, small towns are small towns everywhere.
Plus this has got a lot of... it's also fair. It's family friendly. It's customizable. It's not... It definitely doesn't have the boys club stench of a lot of other games from the time period, or even the generation after. But that aside, it's also a game that utilized some of the features that were becoming it's one of the first games to, on consoles at least, to utilize the concept of the internal clock. Now there have been things like day-night cycles in games since the NES era and whatnot, but this isn't the same thing. This is real-time stuff we're talking about.
And it's not just an internal clock, it's an internal calendar.
Yes. Yeah. Because Animal Crossing, the whole mobile conceit, it's because Animal Crossing was designed to be played for about a half an hour to an hour.
Maybe a little more, especially in the beginning, but...
But the point is, you have... you can only do so much in a given day, and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're not done, but when you run out of tasks, you run out of tasks. And this is more pronounced in later versions of Animal Crossing because the first Animal Crossing did something that was taken out of subsequent games, and that is NES games. See, the first Animal Crossing, some of the rewards you got for, say, fishing, fossil hunting, dealing with e-reader cards, what have you, was to access NES titles.
Which were literally in-game actual NESs or an NES and games for it that you could put in your actual in-game house.
Right, because...
But then you could also, your character in the game could play those games as demonstrated or as shown by you playing those games.
And I know that doesn't sound too amazing, in the year of 2018.
Yeah, this was before Nintendo had re-released their stuff on everything.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like among the first re-releases of NES games. I think the only other re-releases going on at the time were the e-reader sets.
Which, the Animal Crossing versions included some features that I think some of the e-reader versions didn't.
Yeah, but we don't really have time to go into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you don't know what the e-reader was, it was basically Nintendo's clumsy attempt to imitate like e-books or getting into the trading card scene. It was really part of the Pokemon scene at the time.
Yeah, it was mainly used as a Pokédex and stuff for Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean, it was originally called the Pokemon e-reader, but they eventually made it do other things. And one of the things that they could do was you could scan 5 cards that had an NES game. Not a terribly advanced NES game. Like, you weren't getting, say, Kirby's Adventure here. You were getting
Ice Climbers, Donkey Kong
Jr. specifically. But it's like you were getting launch titles from the arcade set. That wasn't much, but we are talking about 5 trading cards. They couldn't hold like 2 kilobytes of data, maybe a bit more, depending on how the card went. Anyway, point of order is that's the only other like re-release we had of NES, because the Game Boy Advance got some actual re-releases of NES games. They put Legend of Zelda on a cards, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but this was a few years later. I actually have the Zelda one.
Yeah,
yep,
it's like
I have Zelda 2, unfortunately.
Yeah. The point is, that was like 2004. And, fuck, the Virtual Console was like 5 years away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, having NES titles, because, we were getting into the part where, we were getting into the times where re-releasing old games really became viable for the first time. I know that doesn't sound amazing, but it's a whole thing with emulation. Like, emulation had just gotten to the golden age of arcades in the PlayStation era. And in the PlayStation 2 era, as you could do NES games.
Yeah, to emulate something, you need to be more powerful than the original hardware, because there is a lot of overhead when it comes to emulation programs.
Yeah, and we're also in the era before the Virtual Consoles, but after. We're in the peak time for compilations. Midway's Arcade Treasures, Namco Museums, as far as the eye could see.
Sega Smash Packs,
Yeah, it's like all that's going on here, and it made total sense for Nintendo to have a compilation of their own. It's just Nintendo's going to do it in Nintendo-like fashion. No Nintendo pack. Retro compilation pack here. They're bonuses in an Animal Crossing game. Mm-hmm. That sounds very Nintendo-ish to me.
Yeah.
Now, of course, once again, this is before they could charge $5 for fucking Ice Climbers, or Urban Champion, or any one of these. So, of course, they weren't going to have that shit in one package in the Wii era, and so on and so forth.
Right. once they're sold separately, they're not going to give them to you for free. But
Right. And now I turn it over to my colleagues to talk about the actual gameplay of Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm. Or as we
So
call it, the chores simulator.
yeah. So you're moving to it. You as a human ? You kind of seem to have horns in the first game, although they mostly dropped that in the later ones. Are moving to a village full of animals. When you get there, you are accosted by a Tanuki businessman who says that he will basically loan, like you take out a loan for your house, and then you have to pay him back. And spoilers, once you pay him back, he will make you expand your house and then take out another loan. This happens like 3 times.
There's a reason why we want to beat Tom Nook up in Smash.
Yes. But yeah, so you get there, and part of the charm of this is that the village has other villagers in it, and there are a lot of them. Like, literally, even in the first game, there are like over 100 different villagers, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I want to say New Leaf has almost 700.
Something like that. It's insane.
I looked it up when we were talking about it, and it was way higher than we were guessing. So what you do to make the money that you owe Tom Nook, although at least he does kind of give you however long you want to pay it back.
He's not going to come break your kneecaps in a week.
Yes. But you can like collect fossils and sell them to the museum, basically collect a lot of things and sell them to the museum. You can dig up things. You can grow plants and sell those to various things. There's even a stock market involving turnips.
Yep.
Where you basically can buy turnips on Tuesday and then sell them back on the next Tuesday.
It's because reasons.
And the price changes every time.
Because it's basically the stock market.
Right.
Yep.
I think they actually call it the stock market, STALK sometimes, but I'm not 100% sure if that was this or if that was in the Amiibo Festival game, which we'll get to.
Do we have to?
So yeah, the first few sequels are fairly similar, and they're fairly similar. And there's always, like, because it uses a real-time calendar, there are like holiday events and stuff where you can get themed furniture and things like that. But
yeah.
Beyond that, there is the sequels. The first few mostly elaborate with other places to go to. Like, one has like a town that you can go to. But New Leaf made a significant change in that you are the mayor of the town, so you also have to do like civic projects and stuff.
Yeah.
This is the one that's most like a management sim, kind of.
It is.
Like, you can actually choose where buildings go and what gets built and what doesn't.
Indeed.
And you fund this in the traditional Animal Crossing way of selling bugs and fish and fossils and crap.
And there are a lot of
villagers and hoping the villagers will help out.
And I believe even on the original GameCube one, by transporting memory cards, you can write letters to other people and potentially have villagers from your town leave your town and go to your friend's town, or have them,
air quotes, leave.
Yep.
Well, no, they actually leave.
Well, like, all their data's still on the disc. They basically just remove them from your town.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, all of the villagers are in there.
Yeah.
Looks like there are 365 villagers in New Leaf, although that includes, I think, the ones from the Welcome Amiibo update, which lets you bring in a lot of characters that weren't in the game originally. Oh yeah, you can also like work the coffee house at night.
I think it varies on games. I think some you can work it in the morning.
Oh, well, you can work at the coffee house. Anyway, So
like,
there's even on just the GameCube, there's a fairly robust social thing, and you can also like if you have more than one person playing on the same GameCube, you each have a house in the town, and you can write letters to the other people, even though only one person can play at a time. But yeah, the villagers come in different kinds of animals. Each one has a unique color scheme, and they also have, I think there are only like 4 different personalities for males and 4 different personalities for females. And then each one has their own catchphrase. And if you talk to them, they might ask you to change their catchphrase, or their catchphrase, if they're popular with the other villagers, might spread to other people, which can be interesting if you have them say certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously in the newer ones they censor out if you make them say bad words because
yes, there's a profanity filter now. I don't know if there was in the original.
Probably was.
There might have been on the GameCube version, but I don't know about the N64, especially like the very first one.
Anyway, so the series, the last main entry was New Leaf, which was 2012, 2013 if you were like North America or Europe. But
yeah, although again, New Leaf, like I said, did get a very significant update.
Yes.
Later, but also there are 2 side games, or 2 or 3.
There are 3, actually.
Oh, right. We keep forgetting about the Happy Home Designer.
Yeah, there was Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, which was basically the release of a section of Animal Crossing. You know, like, and there was Amiibo Festival. Both were done in conjunction with the Amiibo card gimmick.
Because with the number of characters in Animal Crossing, it would be completely ridiculous to do actual amiibos for everybody. They only did like 12 of those, I think.
Like the main, like Isabelle, her brother, the Nooklings, Nook. Like basically the main NPCs have actual amiibos.
Yeah, it's like Nintendo's done the card thing a bit more in Japan, but the amiibo cards really haven't been used since these spin-offs came out.
Yeah.
And I know Amiibo Festival especially stuck in the craw of Animal Crossing fans because there was no Wii U version of the Animal Crossing proper. You know, and
yeah, the Amiibo Festival is like one of the only Animal Crossing game on the Wii U, and it's literally a Mario Party where you need Amiibo cards to actually do anything significant.
Yeah. Amiibo Festival is considered to be like one of the worst Nintendo games ever released. Not even joking.
Yeah, the peak problem is there's just, I mean, aside from being inferior to Mario Party and like games in general, in terms of the mini games, there's just very little to it that's not dependent on you having Amiibo cards.
And the most recent release was Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, one of Nintendo's mobile games. Now, I remember people saying that Animal Crossing would be a natural fit for mobile, and it turns out that wasn't exactly the case. Like,
well, they kind of approached it at a weird angle, because instead of having a house, you're just customizing a campsite, I think, and you...
Well, it's like the universal problem I've heard with Pocket Camp is there's just not enough content to be a proper Animal Crossing game.
Well, and that's part of the reason, because they're making it a full-on Animal Crossing game. What's the point in bringing it to Switch? You know?
Right.
Indeed.
Speaking of which, there's been an Animal Crossing game announced for Switch.
Yes, and people aren't going to be killing people now.
Yeah. Anyway, so the point of order is, and we've mentioned this before, going 5-ish years without a mainline Animal Crossing game made the fucking fan base nuts.
Rabid, but yes.
Yeah. You know, it's like, they went a little nuts. I'm like,
indeed.
I mean, when you start making pentagrams out of Amiibo cards, you might have a problem.
Yeah. That happened.
Several times. There are like 3 different pictures I've seen.
Yep.
I'm like, so now with the announcement that there is going to be a new Animal Crossing game for 2019. That is, if it doesn't get delayed.
Oh god,
Could
if it
happen.
gets delayed.
I'm kind of curious where we can go from where we were.
Yeah, that probably might be most of why it's taken so long, because the last game you were literally the mayor.
Indeed.
Yeah, I hope you have some kind of job, but that they don't just immediately redo having you be the mayor.
Yeah. Like, it's just mayor, but now you have bigger towns. That would kind of suck.
And again, they've
Yeah.
already done like there's a bigger town nearby that you can visit instead of just being this little village neighborhood thing, or there's an island that you can go to. I mean, they've pretty much New Leaf was a pretty fully fledged one, and anything most of the things you'd think of that it didn't do, a lot of the other ones have like at least gestured at. So, and I mean, they don't want to throw in like a full sports game or anything. That would be awkward.
Mm.
In terms of Animal Crossing Switch, the only thing we know is literally that they are making an Animal Crossing game for the Switch, and it's coming in 2019. That's all we got from that trailer.
Yep.
Yeah, enough to keep people from burning Nintendo to the ground.
It was mostly an Isabel's and Smash announcement, and then and also there's going to be a new Animal Crossing game.
Yeah. So presumably we will hear more about Animal Crossing Switch in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Alright,
late
then.
2018, depending on when it's coming in 2019.
But anyway, maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll actually try it this time. But I don't know. I still I'll feel horribly depressed when I realize that my town is completely overgrown if I haven't played in a month.
Like, I think pinning down the release date of Animal Crossing for Switch is one of the easier aspects here, because it's probably going to be one of their big holiday season games. Like, it's probably coming next November or October,
Probably.
December. It's somewhere in that time frame.
We'll find out at E3, won't we?
Indeed.
Yeah, it's like, it could be a summer game. Don't count it being a spring game, because they would be talking about it already. Like, Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
We'd be getting in a release date now.
Yeah. Not necessarily a release date, but, they'd be saying March or April, like with Fire Emblem Three Houses, I think it is. We know that's coming in the spring. We know the month. We just don't know the exact release date.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that'll about do it for Animal Crossing, and that'll about do it for this week's show. The week ahead, coming up on Friday, we do have the multiplayer segments. This week, we expand our horizons, and we're going to be playing some poker. Like, a game called HD Poker, Texas Hold'em.
Oh boy.
I've played poker before, but never Texas Hold'em, and I still can't wrap my head around how the periods of bidding work when there's a freaking... Most of the cards belong to everybody.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I've always wondered what would happen if there... I mean, I know it's phenomenally unlikely, but like in a Texas Hold'em thing, what happens if the communal cards are just a royal flush? Does everyone win?
You'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Because that means everybody has a royal flush, because you can't do better than a royal flush.
I'm like, I don't know. That there may be a rule for that, but that the scenario is so high in the odds that it doesn't come up in normal conversation for a reason.
Right.
Anyway, coming up for the Sunday reviews, we've got reviews slated for HD Poker, Texas Hold'em, Time Spinner, and Scheming Through the Zombie Apocalypse, The Beginning. So, as
sure
always,
is a title.
It's a really interesting game. Like, I'm not exactly sure if I liked it, but if nothing else, it was a very unique game. I can't say I've ever played anything quite like it in terms of like actual mechanics, because it combines like a zombie survival game with loot with a choose your own adventure game.
Huh.
Yeah. Like I said, it's if nothing else unique. Anyway, as always, if you liked the program tonight, be sure to sledgehammer the subscribe button and uppercut the notifications bell.
Really, dude?
Because
Disclaimer: Fragments of Silicon is not responsible for any damages to touchscreens, mice, or other input devices due to following our advice.
yes, because apparently that is what you do with these virtual buttons and tabs these days. You do violent things to them somehow. Like, how do you smash a subscribe button?
I know how to, but you'll be going to the ER afterwards.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I know how to do that physically, but it's not going to do much. It's going to break the machinery, and it's not actually going to subscribe. Now, is it? Or,
unless you're on a phone.
Yeah, it's like, or you're going to break your mouse or your your fucking smartphone. Like, I'm still trying to figure out why this is a thing. Like, then again, there are many YouTube things that flummox me. So, anyway, violent verb, your choice, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Anyway, until Friday, I wish you good gaming.